Hello, brothers and sisters. Father Nathaniel Haslam, National Chaplain of the Lumen Institute, and here we are already in April. We're almost to Easter as well. As you know, our Lenten journey is almost complete. And we've gone through now, as we're pretty much complete with finishing the first 4 virtues that we go through in Lumen from the handbook, right? We've done prudential decision making, we've done self-mastery, we've done fairness last month. And now we're going on to one that I think most of you can relate to, because it's something I think most of you feel perhaps that you have to a great degree already, being leaders in society and business, and that is perseverance. It's a word we say all the time. And perseverance we think of in recent times, like the World Cup, for example, or other sporting events like the Olympics. And you think of perseverance, you think of going the distance, not stopping, not throwing in the towel when it's difficult. In fact, the handbook defines perseverance as a strong commitment to overcoming all obstacles. It comes from the Latin word persevere, right? Through severe difficulties, right? So perseverance means to pass through and continue onward despite severe difficulties and obstacles. It's not by chance that we are celebrating this virtue and that we are also going through Holy Week pretty soon, through celebrating Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. And Jesus as the model and the blueprint, the prototype of every human being, and the one who gives meaning to our lives, well, we look to him and what do we see? We don't see him avoiding suffering, we see him pass through it directly and on purpose. He said, right, no one takes my life from me, I lay it down freely, right? I give my life so that others may flourish. Our Lord embraced the worst human suffering could deal out, so none of us could ever say, hey, God doesn't understand me. God doesn't understand my sufferings. God couldn't know what it's like to suffer like me. Well, actually, he does know how to suffer like you, because he's gone through the worst human condition has ever dealt with. You know, if you want to test that, go look at the Shroud of Turin and see the hundreds of wounds on his body, the thorns that pierced his head, that pierced his brain, you know, the thorns that were like, you know, an inch or 2 thick, long, right, going into his brain. God knows how to suffer. Jesus knows how to suffer, and he knows how you suffer. And he persevered so that you and I could also persevere. But like any muscle of the heart, any virtue, it needs to be developed. It needs to be worked out. I find many Lumen members are very good at persevering when it comes to getting the job done, working hard, you know, working 80 hours a week, no problem, I got this. Okay, you know, and in a sense, hats off. You know, you have talents and gifts, and you've persevered in many ways to get to where you are in life. And I acknowledge that to each of you that are watching this video. But we need to remember that the human person in our human lives is a whole. And so perseverance needs to be developed in all parts of your life. I find many Lumen members don't persevere in their prayer life, right? So how can we say that we are persevering people if we don't persevere in prayer? Or if we don't persevere in our relationships with our spouse or our children? Or if there's a certain employee or two at work where I just kind of throw in the towel and say, hey, you know, I'm done with him or her. I just can't stand them, and I'm not going to work with them anymore, right? I'm not going to go the distance like the Good Samaritan to put them on the mule, take them to the inn, care for them, and then really invest in them to heal and to grow with that person. So perseverance is something not to take for granted. I challenge you to kind of look at it anew this month, pick up the handbook, you know, get a lot of good tidbits in here. Perseverance in practice, page 40, in family, right? It finds a way to show appreciation to your spouse every day, day after day, year after year. How you doing on that? Those of you watching this that are married, how are you doing on that? Appreciation every day for your spouse. How do you do that? Are you doing it? I hear some guys sometimes, hey, I said I love you. I love you when I married you, and you know, well, when was the last time you said that to your wife, right? Well, Father, it's been months. Well, maybe you might start working on that. You know, every day, show appreciation. Stay consistent and positive in the standards you use to discipline your children. Keep a home budget that reflects the values and priorities of the family. Forgive, and keep forgiving, right? Keep forgiving every day. Ask for pardon, right? So family perseverance doesn't give up on correcting one's own faults, right? Give up on a family member's faults when the faults don't go away, right? Don't give up on that person when their faults don't go away. In business, perseverance finishes what it starts. It looks for solutions to every problem and ways around obstacles. It stays on task when the task becomes repulsive. It keeps commitments, right? You get the idea. So I don't want to belabor it, but I just really encourage you once again, this year we're focusing on the handbook for a reason, because just like anything, even of course the Bible as a perfect example, I know the Bible, right? I've read it before, I've read a lot of it, I don't need to read it again. It's like, well, actually you do. Repetition is a good thing, not to mention the fact that God always gives insights when we go back to the Bible regularly, and also by extension to things like